I can remember very well that when I started, sort of as an advisor and things like that, there's a lot of advice that I always hear that people tell new entrants, young people, and not so much probably today as it was back then, but I think it's still happening quite a bit. And this morning we're going to talk about it. And what is that? Well, probably you also got the advice when you started off many years ago, or maybe even recently, that you should buy a nice car. And two reasons for that. The one is that one, you need something to work for and get your backside into gear. And the second one would be to obviously make clients think that you're very successful already. So it's managing that perceptions. And I think that's the worst advice that anyone could ever give. And this morning, I'm going to be talking to Russell Ho about how he's been putting off things for many, many years and seeing what the benefits were of those and where he's finding himself right now, and possibly also where we are headed next, or where he's headed next, rather, in his business. We're looking forward to a fantastic episode, but let me not keep you. Let's get it going. Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. As you start the episode, your browser loses connection to the camera, but let's see if we can get it back or not. Yes, we can. Look at that. Fantastic. You got to know your tech, right? When something goes wrong, you got to know immediately where you need to go. Anyway, good morning. Warm welcome. Or shall I start correctly? Good morning. Welcome back to another episode on this fantastic long weekend. And really looking forward to an amazing conversation. I had a check-in with Russell recently, and he's busy with so many incredible things. It's actually hard to decide what to talk to him about because he's busy with so many things. And then there was a post that he made about some of his progress over the last number of years and the benefits of being able to postpone, that instant gratification and all that good stuff. So really looking forward to chat to him a little bit about that. I'm going to try my best to sneak in some things of what he's busy with in his practice, because I really like where he's headed and where his thinking's at. So really incredible. Looking forward to a fantastic morning. We've got Nikki here with the latest news brought to you by the Financial Planning Institute. We have Igno here all the way from Batuli. I said to him just now that I was worried, like I didn't know Batuli had, internet, and I may not, I thought it was safe to say that on the internet because of that, but apparently there is. So we're really excited to have him here with Changing Your Angle. And then we have a quick tech tip, and it's going to be an amazing quick tech tip. It's something that I started doing about 2 weeks ago, and it's been making a massive difference. I'll share with you some of the impact that this has had just in a very, very short space of time. And then a couple of quick announcements, big announcements around the tech event. And then also I'm going to get into my conversation with Russell. So for those stalwarts who are here this morning live, thank you very, very much. We've got 17 people. So if you haven't said hi, say hi, comments. First off, we've got Kobus. Good morning, Kobus. Nice to see you. Let me just move the screen up so I'm not looking down like that. Righty, so we've got Kobus. Terence in the house. Good morning, Terence. Those of you in the community that haven't seen the interview I did with Terence for the Financial Planning Masterclass, you definitely want to go check that out on the platform. Mark Westonford, good morning, Marky. One of these days, we're just going to be an hour apart, and then it'll be easier to watch us. Joseph, good morning, nice to see you. Neil, good morning, nice to see you. Lihana, good morning. Also sort of saw you yesterday and Wednesday, or not yesterday, but Wednesday, and so on. So we talk a lot. That's fantastic. Salome, good morning, nice to see you as well. Francis, goeiemôre. Lekker altyd om vir jou te sien. Nico, goeiemôre. Good morning, nice to see you. We've got Renee in the house. Good morning. Man, this is amazing. Neil, very snazzy glasses. Thank you very much. Adam said to me yesterday, I turned us into the two Ronnies. I had to go and see what the two Ronnies or who they were. So, yeah, we've been laughing about that. Anyway, Dr. Rufaru Macheka, or Rufaru, like, I'm not keeping up. Like, I know you changed your surname back. So sorry for getting you still as Mujeka, but good morning, Rafado. I hope you're doing well. We've got Lelani in the house. Good morning. Good morning, Dirk Groeneveld. Good morning, Dirkie. Nice to see you early up in PE. Lelani, good morning. Or probably somewhere else in the bush next to a braai. And then we've got Willem Bester. Good morning, Bronwyn and Kuvendra. And Liana says, yeah, the session with, hello, Kuvendra, sorry. And then Liana said, good session with Terence, worth watching. Thank you so much. Alrighty, ladies and gents, let's get the show on the road. It's going to be a fantastic jam-packed one. Let's get into it. And let's hear what the latest news is with Nikki. And Nikki, if you're ready, here we go.
Hi, good morning, everybody. On this, it feels like a second Friday in this 1 week. I woke up this morning and it was one of those where you're not quite sure where you are, but yes, it's Friday and we are here. So it's been quite an eventful week. On Wednesday, as you would have heard, the FSCA issued a penalty of 475 million to Mr. Marcus Jooste, following a thorough investigation that found that Mr. Jooste and Dirk Schreiber made or published false, misleading, or deceptive statements about Steinhoff. This is how the issue from the FSCA read. And Steinhoff International Holdings, which they knew or ought reasonably to have known, were false, misleading, or deceptive. And this also included the omission of material facts. So the FSCA found that Mr. Jooste and Mr. Schreiber contravened Section 81(1)(a) and B of the Financial Markets Act. And that was on Wednesday. Then yesterday, the news came through that Marcus Jooste has passed away. Police in Hermanus, a seaside community about 120 km south of Cape Town, confirmed the death of a 63-year-old man on Thursday afternoon without identifying him by name. And they said the cause of death was a fatal gunshot wound to the head. The media jumped on it quickly, did confirm that it was Marcus Jooste. And what was interesting is many of them cited the fine that was, or the penalty that was issued on Wednesday. But it also became clear, especially if you look at the news this morning, that the 63-year-old Jooste, as well as his company secretary of Steinhoff International and the head of legal, Stian Grobler, were told on Wednesday that they had to hand themselves over to the Hawks on Friday. And this morning, Daily Maverick has got quite an interesting report that says the NPA's case was actually in an advanced stage to charge Marcus Jooste and his cronies with everything that went wrong. And as well as senior Steinhoff executives, and they actually appointed an A team on the NPA side, including advocates Michelle Leroux, Wim Trengrove, and Michael Mbikwa from the bar, and 2 commercial crimes prosecutors. So everything was fairly far moved by the time that Mr. Jooste decided to take his own life. So the plan was for Jooste and his co-accused to face charges next week linked to the manipulation of Steinhoff share price, misrepresentations to third-party business people it did deals with, including Christo Wiese, Bram van Huisteen, and Yayendra Naidu, as well as years of misstatements in the company's annual financial statements. So although the wheels of justice move slowly, it does move. Then, in other news that I would have shared if the Steinhoff thing didn't happen this week in more detail, go and have a look on the FSCA's website. On Monday, they published their statement on consumer vulnerability. Oh, for my Afrikaans tongue, that is a very difficult word to say. So the FSCA is responsible for, among other things, to protect financial customers by promoting fair treatment by financial institutions, and it is also responsible for promoting financial inclusion. Now, this statement supports both these objectives and aims to galvanize thinking and actions in the financial sector to identify and address the needs of vulnerable consumers. Like many other countries, South African consumers have recently experienced high impact events If you look at COVID-19, floods, droughts, political riots, we're not talking about Eskom, high interest rates, higher inflation, and that will amplify the financial vulnerability of consumers and households. So they may be more susceptible to poor customer outcomes than others in the financial sector. And this statement examines how market conduct should protect these customers. It is actually very interesting reading. Go have a look on their website and see how you can get involved as well with this. Then, speaking about getting involved in scams, the FBI did a wonderful webinar this week with the FSCA as well as SABRIC on how to spot a scam. This video will be posted to our FBI My Money 123 website by next week, where it will be available for everyone to go and have a look. And it was a practical conversation about how to make sure that you don't fall into the trap of falling for a scam. So you are very welcome to send consumers there. I really think they can will need a bit of the information and the advice that we shared. So then just lastly, a little bit of fun. Did you know today is Talk Like William Shakespeare Day? And I'm pretty sure that my family is going to get fairly annoyed with me today. So I want to end off with, may thou revel in the grace of thy weekend's embrace. Thank thee kindly. Francois, over to you.
That was absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much, Nikki. Thank you for the news. Thank you for making the time today. Nikki is on leave actually today, so thank you very much for being here live. We really appreciate it. And with that, let's head on over to Ignu, where he's eagerly awaiting to help us change our angle, and looking forward to what he has to share with us this morning.
Well, thank you, Nikki, for introducing us into the fact that it's Shakespeare Day. So to tell or not to tell, that's the question when it comes to stories. And so this morning, all the way from Betuli, I want to introduce you to story meditation. And I want to share a story with you, and I want you to reflect on this story as you go into the weekend, because when we reflect on stories, there's no right or wrong. So your right brain can kick in, and it can assist you to consider how you work and why you do the things you do. So here's the story. A teacher has a favorite, and obviously it's not very pleasant to the other kids that she does have this favorite. So one of the kids actually summons up the courage during a break and walks up to the teacher as she goes to the staff room and says, "Ma'am, I want to understand. We can clearly see that Johnny is your favorite. Why is he the favorite?" And the teacher gets it. And after break, she comes back and she says, "I know that you all want to know why Johnny is the favorite. So what I want you to do is this afternoon, I want you to go out after school and find a chicken and go to a place where no one can see you. And then I want you to kill that chicken. And then tomorrow bring it to school with you." So it's a horrible, horrible thing to say to the kids. But anyway, they go out and all the kids do what the teacher has said, except Johnny. So the next morning, they all come in with the chickens, and only Johnny had not killed the chicken. And the teacher looks at the class and she says, "Do you understand now why he's the favorite?" And that's my story for this morning. And I want you to consider, in terms of your workplace, in terms of what you do, what are the things that you do differently that makes you better than others, and what are the challenges that comes with that? So, Francois, a strange thing, story meditation, but think about why Johnny was the favorite, and hopefully that will lead you to a lot of thinking and ideas about your business. I wish every one of you a super long weekend and have lots of fun. For those of you still at work, have lots of fun there too. No reason not to have fun when you're at work. Take care.
I think I got it. I think I got it. Brilliant stuff there, Igor. Yeah, being the favorite is not always the best thing in the world, right? Apparently, especially if you're a chicken and people love chicken. So, yeah. Anyway, so with that, let me share a quick tech tip with you this morning. It's maybe not going to be something you expect, but this is really, really something that's had a phenomenal impact so far. So, let's see what that is. Righty, so for my quick tech tip this morning, so something that I've been struggling with now for the last 2 or 3 years or so, and I don't really know if it's because of COVID or because I was one of those who got the injections, or it's everything that happened, or maybe it might just be because of the amount of time that I'm spending in front of my laptop and screens. And I've got a massive screen over here. I've got my laptop over here. My phone is always with me. Every now and then I watch TV. Sometimes I work on my iPad. So there's a lot of screen time that I have. And these are really, I'm really struggling with like blurry eyes, dry eyes, burning eyes, red eyes. There's a lot of stuff that's happening from that point. And one of the things that I've always knew about, but I never really paid a lot of attention to was, and you would have heard this, is something called blue light. And the other thing that I've been struggling with, funny enough, is just sleeping very well. So I sleep for 7.5 hours a night. On average, I sleep about 7 hours a night if I look at the stats on my watch. But the one thing that I do go and look at is sort of, how am I sleeping? How often do I wake up? Do I go into deep sleep? And for how long do I spend time in deep sleep versus just your core sleep mode or REM mode? So those are the kinds of things that, I would never have brought together to say, well, maybe it's all these screens. And I know there's a lot being written about it and said about it and all of that. But for me, I just thought like, you know what, let me go and see. And the first thing, obviously, you think about is something like glasses. So these are actually computer glasses. So thank you for the kind comments about my glasses. These are only for when I now spend time in front of the PC. So even when I'm presenting, when I'm talking, when I am just doing my work, I'll have these on. I've also got another pair. I actually bought two. So there's another one here, so I can sort of switch it up a little bit. Like my hair, I like it. So do things that is cool and just change things a little bit. But that's the one thing. But then the other night, I was actually sitting and just thinking, but isn't there some kind of a setting or some kind of something that I can use over and above just my glasses or something, right? Because this is technology. If you didn't know, like, glasses are definitely technology. And lo and behold, there was a setting in Windows and in Mac and on my iPhone. It's incredible. So it's called different things. So for those of you that are using Windows or PCs, it's called night light. So you can go switch on night light. And here's the other beauty about night light that you can do. When you switch it on, it also asks you, do you want to set a time when it should go on and off automatically? Do you want to trigger it manually? Or should it happen at sunset and sunrise? Go on at sunset and go off at sunrise. Because the issue is particularly during the night when all of this blue light is coming in and you're really taking that in, it's stuffing up, sort of our sleeping patterns and all of those kinds of things, and obviously having adverse effects on your eyes. And I've been doing this now for 2 weeks, and I'm telling you, I can show you the stats. I am sleeping much better, waking up a lot less. Funny enough, last night I was watching a movie until after 12, and I didn't sleep well. Weird how that is, where the other things went really, really well. So anyway, so where do you find it is probably the big question. Well, the one is on Windows. You'll go to Settings, and then you go to System, and you select Display, and you turn on Night Light. And then, as I said, you'll see what it does is it takes away the blue. It becomes a little bit reddish, greenish sort of a color. Very, very subtle. So you don't want to be doing design work when that's on, because it'll stuff up what you think you're doing. But it's so easy on your eyes. So that's the one thing. You can obviously just go to search on your search bar, just search for nightlight. You'll also find it. Then on Mac or iOS or those kinds of things, it's called night shift. So night light for Windows and night shift for Mac or iOS or something like that. In Mac, you'll find it under system preferences and displays, and again, night shift. So it works very much in a similar fashion. You could also get other software that you can install, but I don't know why one would do that if it's already on your phone and it's already on your PC or your Mac. And I'm pretty sure that Android will have something similar. So that is my tech tip for today. So get back your sleep, save your eyes, and look cool in the process, I guess. Alrighty, so let's do some quick announcements. Today, I'm just going to talk about the tech event because there's some big news that I've got to share with you. Alrighty, so let me just, I do want to share this with you very briefly. Anyway, so while we are talking, I hope you have some coffee this morning. It's quite an interesting day here in Somerset West this morning. But I do want to sort of just quickly talk to you a little bit about the tech event, and something specifically that I want to share with you is around the agenda. And let me just open that up a little bit. And we've really got an incredible agenda lined up for this event. This is one of those events that you definitely don't want to miss. And now, on top of that, the one thing that I'm always very proud of, and the one thing that we always set out to do, is to create the best content that we possibly can, getting the right people to come and deliver that content, and people who really come from a practical point of view and not only from an academic or theory point of view as well. So with this event, we've put together that we've got an incredible bunch of people that will be participating in this. And on top of that, people that go and buy tickets long before we tell them how many CPD points we offer, my hat's off to you, because that's absolutely incredible. There's been so many people that ask me, like, so how many CPD points before I buy my ticket? I'm like, okay. Anyway, so we got it, 14 CPD points. So 14 CPD points, half an ethics and practice standards point. Then you've got 2 technical points and 11.5 generic or general points rather. So that has been approved. We got it on Wednesday. So thank you very much to everybody involved in that. And I'll show you why we got so many points. It is because of the agenda. So let me just show you day one quickly. So remember, it runs from 9 o'clock in the morning until quarter to 2 in the afternoon. That's when the sessions happen. That's where you earn CPD. But doors open on 8 a.m. on the 9th of April, and it will remain open for the exhibition right until the 30th of April. But at 8 o'clock, the virtual exhibition is open. You can go and see who's there, what they offer, spend time with them, ask them questions, etc. And then at 9 o'clock, we start. Our very first keynote is Johan Stein. Those of you that are not following him, you should be following him. Thank you very much, Vilidzani, for sort of introducing me to him. Johan is all about AI, and specifically also, from a practical point of view. And he talks a lot on the news and the radio and things as well. So he's really an incredible speaker, international speaker. And he's going to be talking about transforming financial advisory with AI. Just a bit of a future-focused perspective of where things are going. And also, particularly, it doesn't matter whether you're a small or a big firm. So we're going to get into that. Then we have some demos. So we have Asset Map, ComSpace, and Avalon doing the first 3 demos live to the entire audience. So you'll be able to see in 20 minutes what they can offer, what their big reason is for you to sort of consider them as part of your tech stack. Then we have a bit of a break. We're going to have a panel discussion. Our first panel discussion is on building business efficiency without losing the client connection, because we want to automate and we want to use AI. We want to do all these things, but we don't want to lose that connection with the client. So we've got a phenomenal panel. We've got Guy Holwell from Fairbairn Consult. We've got Georgina Smith from Innate. We've got Johan Vosloo, the one and only Johan Vosloo, from ComSpace, or Headspace Technologies is the bigger company. Hamrion Fry also there from Scene Analytics. So fantastic to have her. And the phenomenal Rob McDonald will be facilitating that discussion. Rob has phenomenal knowledge and experience when it comes to running and building a practice. And to bring this in and then talk about all of these things is going to be an incredible journey. Then we have Innate sort of showcasing their technology. We've got Gravitas, Stacks, and Elite Wealth as well. Then we've got a comfort break. Then we're back with a keynote, a double sort of two people doing a keynote at the same time. So we've got Per Lagerstrom and Herman Skuman, and they're going to be talking about the future is here now, practice 2.0. So getting all about the changing landscape of advisors, and they're really going to talk about some really cool stuff. So definitely not something you want to miss. Then we're also going to have a workshop on how to build a virtual agent for your business. And it's a 30-minute workshop where we'll show you practically how to do that. And then the exhibition is open for the rest of the day until 5 o'clock. The stalls will remain open. You can visit it anytime, but it will be manned during this time. So until 5 o'clock. That's Tuesday the 9th. Then on Thursday the 11th, we continue. We start off with a keynote by Kobus Barnard talking about empowering financial advisory. So really looking forward to that as well. We'll be talking about, again, AI is going to be in that discussion. Also the latest technological advancements and things we really need to consider. Then we've got Link Tank. We've got Profile Me and Old Mutual Wealth doing the sort of their demos. And, like all of them have got incredible tech. And then Link Tank will talk a little bit about some other things to consider as well during their talk. Then we've got a panel discussion, staying compliant in a rapidly changing tech world. This is something that I think came to the fore a lot at the FSCA conference that was held last week. It was definitely something that they talked about the risk to consumers when we start using AI and things like that. So there's also going to be more stuff coming from that end. So looking forward, we've got Lelani on there, Lelani Besaidenout. We've got Anton Swanepoel and Charmaine van Wyk. And the wonderful Valedzani is going to facilitate that. So it's really been a powerful, incredible discussion to talk about how do we stay compliant. Then we've got a keynote after the next line of demos. So we've got Advice Tech, we've got Conduct Catalyst, and we've got Hiver. Some new stuff, things you haven't seen before. So really excited for that. And then we've got the keynote from Kirsty Detoy, who's from Asset Map. And she's going to be talking about the art and science of empowering clients. Because it is about empowering them, etc. So we're really looking forward to that. And then we're going to have a prompting showdown. So we're going to talk a little bit about that as we go through, and we'll put some more stuff about that on the platform. But basically, we're going to have a challenge where people who participate will solve a problem using ChatGPT 3.5, and the one with the best will win something on the day and be crowned as the prompting king or queen from that perspective. And that's it for day 2. Day 3 is the next Tuesday on the 16th at 9 o'clock. We start off with Tian Hershelman of all people. So really looking forward to that. 2 blind spots in the practice, outsourcing and utilizing technology, and only Tian's style that we are going to really get a lot from that. Then we've got some more. We've got Sure. You don't want to miss Sure. It's really something new. It's something that's been in the works for a long time. I think I met with them like a year and a half or 2 years ago almost, or a year and a half ago. They've been at this for a long time, and they're going to show you some incredible things that they're doing. Seed Analytics is there, so looking forward to that. I'll be demoing TaxSpace for a change, so I never bring my own stuff in here, but we're going to do TaxSpace. And then our last panel discussion is on transforming digital client engagement into an experience. We've got Razan is on there. We've got Johan Bester on there. We've got Mark Sado from a financial advisor point of view. Mark uses tech a lot to create an experience. And then Robin from Link Tank will be the facilitator. So again, an incredible one. Then we've got At Work doing their demo. We've got SearchWorks doing their demo. And then we'll confirm who that last one is. We're just waiting for a confirmation. So that's that. And then we've got the financial planning shootout where we're going to let the financial planning tool providers take a case study and compete with one another and see what comes about. Just for fun, just for some camaraderie, some friendly competition and things like that. And then we end off with Panos Elidakis. So those of you who don't know who Panos is, he is, he's going to blow you out the water. He's going to be talking about adapt and fly. This guy is like, he lives and breathes tech, but when he talks, he comes with all the energy that there is. He's like an atomic bomb, but in a good way. So you don't want to miss that. And that's our agenda for the 3 days. And for that, you will earn 14 points if you attend all of it. So yeah, really looking forward to that. That was a long one. And on that note, it's now 8:30. So let's head on over. Let me chat to Russell. But we hope to see you there. Just briefly, if you want to check it out, propulsion.co.za /tech, and you'll find all the information there that you need, as well as the fact that, or you can buy your tickets and all of it. Propulsion Pro members, you have got free access, so go to the platform and book your ticket via the platform. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Russell and myself to have a conversation. Hello, Russell. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone.
Fantastic to have you. The last time I had you on was, I posted actually a picture of that because you sent me a picture to say, oh, remember this one, when we did the podcast way back, it was in 2019. So I posted a picture on social to show like, this is where we were and this is where we are at now. And it's phenomenal to sort of see. I mean, I think you, if I may, Russell, like Russell was saying, like, look, I even look like an adult now. So, it's incredible how much has happened in the last 5 or 6 years. And it's really been great to see your journey, Russell. So happy to be talking to you this morning. Just very, very briefly for those who don't, like, I think everybody on this call, if I look at who's saying hi and all of that, will know a little bit about you and who you are, thanks to LinkedIn and places like that. But just share a little bit about you and sort of where do you work, in terms of like where you're based in South Africa, and just maybe the main focus of your business, and then we can chat about the rest.
Okay, awesome. Just actually, that flashback brings back a lot of memories. Obviously, as per what Francois mentioned earlier about dark mode and tech, you can see it's a bit dark here, but I've lightened up my face as much as I can. But I'm a certified financial planner and lifestyle planner coach as well. I've been in the industry for now it's going into my 10th year. And I still remember that photo that I posted up, or Francois posted, with the flashback. That was about 5 or 6 years ago in April 2019. And I still remember I went and saw Francois at Krugersdorp, and then he was like, oh, I'm actually doing a podcast. Do you want to be like on episode 1? It's like, sure. I think from that, a lot has grown, and we've come a long way. And I currently operate with my whole team and my practice in Port Elizabeth. But 50% of our clients are out of PE. So we fully also embrace the digital landscape, especially prior to COVID and more so in COVID going forward. And we pretty much have been operating in financial advice and coaching since, and trying to really help the client at end. It's kind of making things, I would say, de-jargon forward, if I would call it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed. I know, like, I think still on your socials, Russell, it's saying that it's like removing the financial gibberish or something like that. For people, it's just making it simple, and that was always your thing that you've stuck to, over the years. But I'm really sort of keen to say what was it like for you when you just started out? Because I know. You didn't start off where you right now. You start off in a different business, and it was obviously a very different experience because the setup was very different. But what was that early days? Were there some specific challenges and things for you in those early days that you can still remember? Because sometimes our mind plays tricks on us that doesn't want us to remember how hard things were sometimes. Were they hard? Let me ask it that way. No, were they hard? And if they were, what were some of those challenges for you?
Damn. I feel old now when I think back that far. But 100%, when you asked me to do this podcast and you got me reflecting on a lot of the questions, I still think I'm young, but apparently I'm kind of like a veteran now, or going into the veteran space. And I would say back then I was a young up and coming young professional, full of hopes and dreams, straight out of varsity, BCom and postgrad financial planning, on my route to getting my CFP. And for me, I remember I had this perception idea of like how the finance industry would be, especially what contributed to that was like Suits just came out. And I started wearing a suit every day to work. I still do wear suits now, obviously for virtual consults or virtual chats. I kind of like go a little bit more casual. But I started wearing a suit every day to work. And I remember my first 3 years, and out of that, my first year was actually, I started out working for Mutual, the big green machine. And it was my intern year. Now, bear in mind, I came out of varsity. I was actually fairly introverted. I didn't have people skills, and I had just been watching, Suits, and my hero was like Harvey Specter all those years. I was like, you know what, I'm going to be the Harvey Specter of finance. Came in there, and I had this mentality idea of like what the finance industry would be like in the series Suits, and it completely was 180 degrees different. I think a lot of the challenges and how I started out was like, it was difficult times, but at the same time, I think in my professional opinion, if I had to go back, I wouldn't change it for anything. The reason being is that you got to actually see how different the industry is or your profession is compared to what you taught in varsity, and to see it now in the field. And more so, some of the challenges or difficulties that I face, that I know a lot of young up and coming planners are facing still to this day, is it's more of like the narrative that society and also like the industry puts you in, because you see both good and bad advice, and how things are run, and you're like, this isn't what I signed up for. I would say a common thing that I always talk to about peers is that when you start out in the first year, you on this journey, you're definitely going to help people, and that's what's driving you. And then you're exposed to this industry where there's a lot of policy selling or more sales, everything's sales focused, and you start realizing like, geez, okay, I'm getting this narrative, or people are perceiving me as a policy salesman, and that can be very discouraging. So I think it's a lot of mental challenges from that point of view. And also when you start up, especially if you're new to the industry and you haven't had experience, you basically are thrown in the deep end, and you're like, okay, go find yourself clients, build up a practice. Yes, you're part of a company now, but each and every financial plan and advisor there is basically building their own practice from scratch. And it's literally the hard grind. So I think some of the challenges I had to face was that saying no to the box that society or the industry puts you in, because like as we grow up, you get put into boxes of what you should be, but you have the choice to say, am I going to conform to that, perspective or that box, or am I going to go against the narrative? And then secondly as well, you start kind of seeing how things are done, and you start asking yourself, how can I do things better? And also part of the grind, I would say in the start, is that you learn how to work smartly, not just work hard.
I really like that. Sorry, Russell. One of the things is that you just mentioned was sort of going against the grain, or going against what the norm is, etc. But I have a question around that. So does one do that? Because often they say if you want to really excel and you really want to do well, do the opposite of what everybody else is doing. So there's sort of people that are professing that kind of advice. But my question to you is, do you go against the grain, if you will, just because you want to go against the grain, or should you only do that when you are really convinced of something and it's really something that's important to you, and it's sort of your authentic self, I would almost say, or is it a strategy that everyone should follow? So as everybody's doing this, I'm going to do this. So just maybe your view on that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I would say probably when you start out, it won't take you long to realize that you definitely do eventually go against the grain, because you realize everyone is doing exactly things how they taught how to do. And when I started, this was before like social media and technology blew up that we have today. But it was basically when I started and I just came out of varsity, I met like 100+ advisors who were all working in this open plan office. And everyone back then, to find clients, they were either phoning 100 to 200 cold calls a day, or they would out of the yellow pages, or out off Gumtree, trying to offer free financial advice or free financial analysis. And I tried that for like a day or two, and I was like, this can't be the only way. Things have to be different. And one concept that I've always adopted since day one, and from that experience, is that I realized that not a lot of people are looking at it from that point of view. It's like, if you were the customer or the client or the consumer on the other end, how would you like to be approached? Who is someone from the first point of call, first point of communication, right? How would you be willing to trust someone with your finances? And more so because it's so personalized, open up. And also, that's basically what gave me the feel of like, okay, I can't do this cold calling. I have to find another way of meeting clients and building up a rapport with clients so that they can trust me. You know, finance and personal finances especially is very personal in the sense we tend to think it's just about the numbers, graphs, and figures, but you don't realize, and even more so now, later in my career now, you don't realize how personalized it is because it's based on human behaviors, background, and past experiences, family habits, family upbringing, and a lot of times, if you think about it, most of our consumers or the general public, it's a bit embarrassing to admit when you don't know something about how to manage your money. And that's why the first step is always trying to think, okay, if I was a consumer, how would someone that I need help with my finances earn my trust? How would I like them to approach me? And how can I open up more to them? So that was always been my mindset, with like, always put yourself in the client or the customer's shoes instead of following what the crowd is doing. Because on top of that, if you think about it, when you cold call, imagine how many times that person's had a cold call, not only from like advisors at your company, but at every other institution. And then you have to think of like, what can I do differently? So I would say that is what gave me the fuel to go against the narrative. And also at the end of the day, like I saw every client from a family perspective or philosophy of like, I'm not just helping a client, I'm helping someone's mother, father, grandparent, son, daughter, make informed decisions about their lives so that they can live a better life and more importantly, have peace of mind and be the soundboard. I'm not just out there to like sell a product. It was more of like, you are buying a partnership with me and to be your human soundboard so that at least you have peace of mind and clarity of like, okay, I'm doing the right thing. And if I'm not doing the right thing, I have someone to give me clarity and guidance, on what my options are on my way forward.
Yeah. Great stuff. So let's talk a little bit about postponing the immediate gratification thing, because I think that's hard for a lot of people. And you were very proud of what you've been able to do over the last number of years, putting things off, and you're able to do things that most people just can't. And I guess it does depend a lot on your own circumstances and your own situation, etc. But I mean, there were some hard decisions that you've made. Can you talk us a little bit through what those were, and why was it important to you to have that long-term view and to say, look, if I can postpone, then it'll work out. But I'm keen to sort of just first maybe talk about why did you decide to do, or what was the thing that was driving you to make that decision to put off, where people go out, they do a few deals and they've got 6 great months and they go buy that car. So what is your take on that, and why have you done it the way that you've done it?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm human like every other person out there. And in my opinion, like I was also tempted, especially come out of varsity and you study with your group of friends. Some have gone to become doctors, chartered accountants, some have gone into investment banking and other professional careers. And what was tempting or hard was that you start off your career, and what people don't realize is that, our whole model is generally commission based or fee based. There's no basic salary or normal fixed salary, as with most professions. So the biggest challenge that I think from a personal point was like, you start your career and within the next few years, you don't realize that it's more of a long-term view, because you don't realize like how challenging it is when you see your friends progress. Everyone's buying the nice car, the BMW, the Merc, the nice big house. People are going on lavish holidays. And that's where I feel like temptation, and also the challenge of delaying instant gratification and putting off more for the long-term view, is when most people are challenged. Because especially now, more so with social media, you get into the bit of like comparing yourself to others, and you think, okay, if I'm not driving a new sports car, right, then I'm not progressing. And also a big thing is about like the image that comes with, especially for a lot of us as young professionals. When you start out in industry, you obviously want to show that you're doing well and you're successful. And we tend to give into that of like, okay, I want to appear successful and like give into that instant gratification. But then the long-term view of probably for me that I saw that made me, decide against that. And if some of you saw my post, I was tempted to buy an Audi when I wasn't like financially able to and not in the right mind to, was that from a long-term point of view, I was like, I don't want to for me as a person, yes, I could also do, give bad advice and do unethical deals just to get high commission. But then for me, it was always like, could you sleep sound at night knowing that you've done someone in, and you've also kind of gone against your ethics of like, you've told that client enough from meeting, like, I'm here for your interest, but you've recommended a solution that benefits you. And my long-term view also with that, and it paid me back tenfold over the years, was that I would always put the client at the focal point and the center of everything, because I would be focusing on building that long-term relationship. Imagine how nice it is, and most of our clients are like that, is that we started with them when they just left varsity, and now we with them where they have families, they bought property, and their careers have grown. And a client will always hold that to you of like, they'll appreciate that so much, because you realize that they are so used to being treated as a number, only seen for like their net worth and how much they earn. They're not seen for their actual individuality and them as a person and my needs. So I think long-term wise, when you're not focused on the money or trying to make as much commission or deals off a client, you don't realize that you're also creating future opportunities and future, future deals and future earnings in the future with that client. But not just that client, you're also creating future referrals from that client, because that client will talk about you to like their friends and family around the bar, like, wow, so and so, or I went and saw Francois, and for the first time, and I actually remember I had these experiences. I said, for the first time, it feels weird because you were so transparent and honest, and you didn't sell me anything. You were just generally there to help me. So in my opinion, I think that's the biggest reward I've gotten from delaying instant gratification of like, I'm just going to push the biggest deals now and focus on now, and rather benefit instead over the long term. And I think the other point I just want to add quickly before I jump back to you is that in that environment where you're working with so many advisors, you also see old advisors that are there before you. And a good question to ask is like, can I see myself at that point in 10 or 15 years? And a lot of those advisors, with respect, that were focused on commission, that were there for a lot more years than I was, they were so stressed when it came to end of the month, because the advice or the need wasn't fully addressed to the client and they were focused more on the deal. They had the worry like, oh, what happens if some of the stuff lapses and I have to pay back the commission? And I was like, I want to build a more sustainable practice where people know that I have their genuine interest at heart and it's purely focused on the client.
Oh, fantastic. While you're talking about your practice, let's talk a little bit about your business, because like this is not a case of. I think one thing that I want to make clear that it's definitely not a case of that you sort of have gone this way because you're not earning revenue in your business. It's just got nothing to do with that. This is just a conscious decision that the long game is more important than the short game. So it wasn't just about chasing numbers and targets and things like that. This is about adding value over the long term, and over the long term benefiting from that, doing the right thing for the right reason with the right intent. Like that's always the thing. And that's what I get from what you're doing. So building your practice, you're more in an independent setup at the moment. And you're building your practice like you're building your own, like a business, obviously. So what are the things that you are focusing on? Because one of the things that you did also mention that you're very proud of is the fact that you didn't borrow money, you didn't go into debt, you didn't, you don't have an overdraft, credit cards, things like that, in order to have funded the business to invest. In other words, to take the bank's money, for lack of a better person to pick on, their money to invest into your business and to grow your business. So talk me a little bit through how you have gone about building your practice and specifically investing back into your practice. And I mean, that's a very wide question, but let's just start off in general. So I'm not really talking about what you invested into yourself. I'm interested to hear, what are you investing, what have you been investing into the business in order to get to where you are right now?
Okay, great. So one thing that we've been investing a lot into our business is more into our tech and our tools. A big thing that I'm sure as a lot of you as planners as well are experiencing, and also to those who ever are running their own businesses in their careers, is that you find as you get older, you value your time more, and you want to find ways to like leverage your time more. They always say like in the beginning when you're just starting out, it's easy to say yes to everything because you're not so busy or there's not so much high demand for you. But then the more challenges that as you progress in your career and your business and your profession over time, the most productive hack they always talk about is not trying to find ways to constantly optimize things, but like the most basic productive hack is learning to say no to things that aren't feeding your goal or feeding to where you want to progress or where you want to take your practice. So I think just to also answer that, like over time and even before COVID, not that we were expecting something like that to happen in all the years, it also comes from that you are your own business owner and we don't get like our own fixed salary. Every year and every month since day one, I've always, wherever I could, invest or reinvest most of my paychecks back into investment accounts and into interest-bearing accounts for the business. And it was more so of like, okay, if something happens, like kind of in a sense, giving yourself basic financial planning. We need to do what we preach, or live what we preach. Is that I was backed up into like my mentality of like, okay, over the long term, I want to build this practice and I want to scale it and I want to have a team of people. And I never want to have to ask for a loan or be under pressure from debt. So my first notion was like, firstly, okay, Russell, you run a commission or fee-based practice. There's no salary. What happens if you have months where, you don't bring any business or your production is low or the amount of cases that are brought in are minimal and you don't make enough commission or fees to carry you through and cover your living expenses? Then what? Or what happens if there's a period when you can see there's an opportunity to hire more people, like what I've done recently, or there's a period where you want to invest in new tech that's going to speed up stuff, speed up the processes of your practice, but now you don't have the capital available and now you might need to borrow money from the bank. And for me, that was always my concern. It's like in the beginning of my career, I was like, those days are going to come because your practice is not going to stay the same. You're going to obviously keep pushing and trying to grow it. And you're going to want to leverage your time more so that you are spending your time on things that are driving and growing the business, not just working in the business. And you want to have the capital available so that you won't have the additional pressure of like debt. So that's what I started doing. I started investing each paycheck 75%, if I could, into investment accounts. It also taught me part of delaying instant gratification of like, as a human, just put it in an investment account, don't look at it, just consistently do it over time and let it, compound and do its work. And that's where I would say now I've gotten to a point where I'm able to scale. I was able to hire people last year as well. We've been investing in tech, and especially came in handy during COVID, where we went fully digital with a lot of our clients. So invested a lot in tech to automate things. We've also invested a lot into like our marketing or our brand. And in addition to that, like I think as a person or as a business owner, at the end of the day, the biggest benefit is having peace of mind and no financial anxiety of like, I've got 6 months of my expenses covered. So it gives me time I can focus on other aspects of the business. I don't have to push for clients so hard. And also at the same time, over all the years, when you have and you do those measures in place, it takes stress over you as depending on whatever tied or financial advisor environment you're working in, of like, I don't have to drive or chase business for the point of just making money. I can work at my own pace. I'm not forced to sell. So it gives you that freedom as well.
Yeah. And also then the other thing is, I'm just standing here thinking that a lot of young financial advisors and planners are sort of new and they're finding it really, really hard. There's always somebody out there who's doing things that more experienced advisors are doing and they're getting it right. And you're one of those people for me. I don't know what it is, but it's definitely something that, when you really set your mind to it, you can make it happen. The question is whether you are patient enough for it to get there, because it's going to take long. It's going to be slow. It's a slow burn. And then it was like slowly, and then suddenly it'll just happen. It almost feels like, okay, where you now like happened overnight, but there's been quite a long time where it felt like, very little was happening. So that's important. Russell, I just want to quickly ask, we've got a couple of minutes. From a personal development point of view, you've done a lot. The one thing that always stood out, like when I met you, the one thing that I like, you were talking to a lot of people and you were asking here and asking there. And I know you were having coffees with Kobus, and you and I had conversations. You're very involved in the things that Dirk and them are doing as well. So, I mean, we see you everywhere, and you're always like a sponge, and you connect with people overseas via LinkedIn. Like, you do all these weird and wonderful things. I want to know from you, maybe what are the top 2 or 3 things, very, very shortly, that has made the biggest impact on your career and your practice, of all of those things that you've done. Maybe what are the top 3 things that you say, well, I should have done more of those, maybe because this has had the biggest impact, or maybe it was just a once-off thing that just had a massive impact.
Wow. Okay. So if I think about it now, probably a big thing for me has always been, and I would say, like, we treat our practice this way. We always say internally, like, we in R&D or research and development. I guess the formal term that we keep using in our industry is like we consistently doing CPD or continuous professional development. And a lot of us think it's only just for us individually, but you should also do it for your practice as well. Is that find a good set of people, and I'm not being paid for this, but like the LP group with Dirk, Lifestyle Financial Plan, if you really care about your clients, it's really nice. It's a safe space. And I remember Dirk sent me a DM like in my second year, a LinkedIn DM in my second year of when I was on Mutual. It's like, I'm starting this group, with Simon and 1 or 2 other guys. Do you want to come through? Do you want to join us? I know you're on LinkedIn. So that has grown phenomenally well, and it's become a safe space. So find your people, your tribe, because this journey can be like very lonely, and sometimes you just need someone to like hear your pleas, whether it's good or bad, or your experiences, and ask them for like their input so that you're not alone, and also some guidance and advice also on like how to handle those situations. Treat everything like R&D, research and development. You learn and you hear feedback from people, and also bear that in mind. Like, you can take input from everyone, but you decide like what you decide to use, and don't be afraid to trial and test it with clients in your practice. I think that's another big thing that people don't do enough, is like, you listen to so many podcasts, you read so many books, read so much course material, do so many courses. At the end of the day, a big differentiator of whether that material is useful or valuable to you and like your business and your career is like, okay, let me try it out. Is it practical? Is it going to help my business? Like linking it to the tech thing of like, we spend so much money on tech, but then my question always is like, okay, like, how does this enhance the ability of what I'm doing now, and also save time, but more so add more value to the client, give them more clarity and peace of mind. So you have to think of like, practically, how does the knowledge and the people that I mix with add value to me, but also use it. And then secondly, I would say, just lastly as well, is that don't be afraid to ask questions as well and test your theories. And more so, don't, embrace the suck. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. I use the analogy of gym. There's no bad experience or no bad move. Every day you are doing reps, and you're putting reps into the gym or into your practice. And people only compare themselves when they see super successful people like Kobus. I'm still progressing, but like Kobus, Dirk, and all that. You don't realize professionals like that have been putting in reps for the last 10 years. And they've learned from their mistakes every day of like, okay, this has worked, I can do this better. And that's how you actually, find success and reach your passion.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Russell, thank you very much. We're out of time. There's a lot more that I want to talk about. So maybe you and I should chat about a special on in propulsion, but I'll chat to you. So thank you very much for sharing. Thank you very much for what you're doing. I'm going to talk about the comments just now when we end here. So do stick around because there's some phenomenal just comments there. And Russell, thank you very much. Keep on doing the good work. And we love to see people excel and grow and be successful, and also to see how they move through the different phases in their career, and as new things come along their way, how they react to it and sort of how they learn from it and get better. And, it's just amazing. So keep doing the work. We really love watching you. And fantastic. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Francois.
Big pleasure, my friend. Fantastico, fantastic. Alrighty, so let's see some of the comments that have come in for specifically on Russell's one. So Kobus was saying that young man with an incredible career, he's very inspirational, right? Because like he just keeps going and keeps doing what he says he's going to do. So that's fantastic. Liana is saying here, treat your practice like you would treat a client or yourself, which is directly linked to what I think Russell was saying. Terence says this profession is better because of people like Russell. Fantastic. Dirk is saying a great example of self-belief and tenacity. I think that tenacity and just sticking to your guns. Well done, Russ, he says. Neil Phillips, very sage advice, Russell. You are wise beyond your years. And we've got Karina also on here saying, Russell Ho is such an inspiration to young people starting in the industry. This is a great interview for my daughter, considering getting into this industry. Fantastic. And on that note, that's it. Thank you very much for being here. A lot of people were very skeptical that people were going to show up today, and I was very confident that we will have a lot of people, and we had. So thank you very much for taking the time. If you've taken a long holiday or not, thank you for spending your time this morning with us. We really appreciate it. Remember to go check out the tech event. The links are down below in the description. And with that, have a fantastic weekend. Stay safe, be blessed, and prosper, and continue to raise the bar. Love you lots. Bye-bye.